Welcome in, everyone. Another episode of Business Relationship Sports. We're your hosts, CA KJ, Chris P Austin Kris Johnson. Good to see you,
Good to
my
see you,
man.
man.
It is
Always.
officially the new year. It's January 2025. We're into a new year. There's a lot going on in the world of business, relationships, and sports. We're here to deliver you the news, what's happening lately, and our perspective on it. So, jumping right in, intro to 2025. What's new in 2025? There's going to be a new president. We're going to be switching over the guard of the presidential situation. The NFL is heading into the playoffs now. The NBA is getting deep into the midseason as we approach the All-Star break. And there's a lot happening since coming off the Olympics last year. So a lot of interesting storylines, a lot of interesting things happening in the world of collegiate sports between NIL situations, college football, college volleyball just ending for women, starting up for men, college basketball is in the mix, a lot of upsets, a whole lot going on. So we're getting into it. So starting off 2025, do you have any specific goals or aspirations, or what do they call them, resolutions that you're interested in making happen?
I have resolutions every single year.
Mm-hmm.
Never stops.
Okay.
Most of them, once again, financial savings, investings goals, things like that, and then some other side goals that I don't want to tell anybody about, but I'm working on right now.
Okay.
But mostly the financial goals are always in there. I want to make sure I'm financially stable. I want to make sure I'm investing the way that I should be.
Sure,
What about
sure.
you?
For me, I've talked to a couple people on my mentality program about it, but number one is a consistency of events. So some of the events that we run for sports and mentality and strength training, want to be really consistent about those and try to hit a specific number, which is 12 of a minimum this year.
Nice.
Number two, want to make sure that as it pertains to the facility, there's continued growth in terms of the system. So continuing to build system within what's happening in the volleyball world with things that make sense for people to be able to get to their highest level. And
Nice.
then also trying to make sure that there is a solidarity in the financial piece too for being able to allocate things in advance from savings to spending from a facility standpoint to a personal life standpoint, but trying to make sure that we're out ahead of that. And then a fourth one that I have is just consistency of working out. I always try to make sure I work out at least 4 of the 7 days a week.
No doubt.
And this year I'm making a goal to ramp it up to 5 out of the 7 days. So
You're getting after it.
yeah, workout for me is defined as something longer than half an hour where I break a sweat, where either weights or physical exertion are involved. So
Mm,
I also try to make sure that there's a stretch and like a body loosening or maintenance, more like a morning core routine on the other days, but
yeah.
I don't count those as the workouts. The workouts are something that I feel like is either progressing me strength wise or giving me the opportunity to maintain where I'm at.
Yeah.
So
I hear you.
those are the aspirations.
Nice.
So yeah, it started off well so far. We're about 10 days into January now, and things are looking up in terms of that. But what's challenging right now is in California, for those of you who don't know, there's some fires happening right now, and it's actually a pretty tragic situation. So a lot of people's houses are burning down currently. Neighborhoods are going up in flames, starting with the Pacific Palisades,
Mm,
stretching out to places like Hollywood, stretching out to places like Calabasas. There's been new fires popping up. And there's some big name celebrities who've had their houses burned down, like Paris Hilton, JJ Redick, Kim Kardashian. But more so, it's the general population of people in those. I believe 90% at this point of the Palisades is gone. You know, literally just
that's
in the
terrible.
ashes and flames. So there's some people who I know personally who have their houses that are gone at this point, and then there's a pretty decent amount of attachments to those people who also have their houses gone. So pretty challenging time right now in Southern California, and that's just about 15 minutes away from where we're standing right now in a car.
Yeah, it's super concerning. Palisades is just above Malibu,
Hmm.
and I don't know, it's really disappointing. A lot of people who are in political positions or in other higher ranking positions are starting to come down on Newsom, which
Mm.
is pretty disappointing. But I mean, you heard what happened, or if anybody heard what happened, I believe Newsom took about 17 million away from the fire department, and then also he apparently took water out of the fire hydrants that were in the Palisades. So, fire department obviously is lower staff, and then also they have no water, so they're having to find like new ways to try to contain it, which obviously they haven't really been able to contain the fire, which
Right.
is then making the situation worse. And Trump was even saying things, and multiple other people, Grant Cardone, were saying things about what Newsom's been doing, and nobody's happy about it. And obviously, you see what happened to Palisades because of it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a pretty tragic situation. I mean, for most people, it's not something they think about on the daily, you know? Like people get insurance, some people get insurance. Fire insurance is something really hard to find right now in Southern California. If you're trying to get it for the first time, it's
No
almost
way.
impossible. And even if you've had it previously, they're stripping a lot of people of it. So
Yeah.
something I don't know as a fact, but something I have heard is that uh, even the people who have houses that are in worth of excess of $3 million, they're capping a lot of the insurance payouts at
Hmm.
$3 million. So even if you have a house that's worth 20 or a house that's worth 10,
Yeah.
you're only getting three back. And so there might be some people out there that say, you know, have the mentality of, well, if you have $20 million, those aren't the people to worry about. It's like anybody who has their house burned down unexpectedly is a
Yeah.
person to worry about. So whether we're talking about a person who has a $50,000 house or a $50 million house, it's a really tragic and challenging situation. So
Hmm.
um, anything that can be done to help, you know, raise those people's spirits, you know, try to send positive energy and try to make sure that you're opening your space for people to be able to have, you know, whatever it is they're seeking, a good time, a safe time, a healthy time, whatever the
Hmm.
case. So, yeah, for California right now, really challenging situation, not unlike what was happening in Florida, you know, a little bit ago with the hurricanes happening over there, just overtaking people, people's
That's
houses
scary.
getting torn to shreds. So we
Yeah.
hope that the natural disasters can calm down a bit. But hopefully this is the reason that people have insurance and it doesn't turn into a bigger fiasco. Um, that causes even more problems for the area. That's the big hope. You hope property values don't shoot down in that
Hmm.
area really fast, even though for a little while it's going to be almost like a wasteland, you know? There's not going
Yeah.
to be a lot standing. So it's natural that property values are going to drop a little bit. And it opens up some opportunities elsewhere for people to start to find homes and find shelter and find places they can stay. And you hope that the insurance is willing to take care of it.
Yeah, insurance is starting to pull out of everywhere now.
Yeah,
Especially they're starting to pull out of Florida and California, which
yeah,
is hard. Or if they are deciding to stay in, they're raising everything. Like
yeah,
car insurance for us is starting to go through the roof.
yeah,
And then housing, if anybody has any insurance, is starting to go up right now, which is pretty disappointing.
yeah. Yeah, it's a big challenge, but anyway, on to brighter things. So, NBA season is happening right now. Switching lanes to the NBA. It's a very exciting time. Like we've talked about on this podcast before, the NBA, in my opinion, has more talent right now than it has ever.
Yeah.
And so we can debate the rules and the referees and the shooting of three-pointers and is the game soft or hard or whatever. But it's fairly undeniable that the level of talent and athleticism and skills is just amazing. You know, down to the ninth and tenth player on each
Hmm.
team. They can handle the ball, they can shoot the ball, they can drive the ball, they can play defense. There's long length, there's strength. And so what that creates is opportunities for more dark horses and underdogs to rise to the top of the food chain. Where if you look back in the past, it was generally like literally three people who would
Hmm.
dominate the league, like a Jordan Magic Bird type
Yeah.
situation. You know, these are the names. Now, I mean, you have any given night, you know, somebody can go off. You can have um, the guy from the Hawks,
Oh,
Trey
you're talking about
Young.
Trae Young,
Trey
yeah.
Young
Yeah.
can go off one night. You might have LeBron James go off. You might have Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. You might have Anthony Edwards. You might
Hmm.
have Karl Anthony Towns. You might have Jalen Brunson. You might have Jimmy Butler. There's so many different people who can go off, and not even just the stars of an individual team, but the team as a collective. You know,
Yeah.
you can find a team who's ranked 12th in the West might beat a team by 20 points who's
Yeah.
ranked in the top two. So that creates interest, that creates viewership, positivity. The thing right now that's creating negativity or unideal nature in the viewership is the amount of three pointers these guys are putting up right now. It's a lot of threes. So naturally, people are doing the math. They're going threes count for more than twos. So if we put up these threes, the teams who are winning, like the Boston
Hmm.
Celtics, record shooting amount of threes.
Yeah.
In the past, you have the Golden State Warriors shooting threes.
Hmm.
And so people follow suit, right? And that's the way trends go. So what's your opinion on all this, the state of the league as a whole?
I think that there's a ton of talent. Like there's a ton of talent in the league now, which is really good. But also like there may be a little bit too much threes happening right
Mm-hmm.
now. At least too many threes going up. The interesting thing is like what I'm seeing as far as the way that everybody plays defense.
Mm-hmm.
The the mentality of playing defense is still to protect the inside, which is
Mm-hmm.
super weird to me
Mm-hmm.
because everyone's always moving with the driver. I think that's like natural basketball instinct that you move with the person who's going inside. But I'm like, if you know most likely they're gonna shoot threes, like why not be okay with giving up more twos
Hmm.
and then staying on 3-point shooters if you know that there's a higher chance they're gonna shoot it, and obviously the three is an extra point.
Yeah.
So that's the part that's like been confusing to me.
Yeah.
But otherwise, like it's still pretty attractive. It's just the viewership is gonna go down because basketball is known for going inside, hard nosed, dunking, blocking shots, things like that. And the fans really come to basketball to see like people get dunked on. Like
Right.
it is what it is.
Right.
And so that's probably why the viewership is down because everybody's shooting 50%
Yeah.
threes right now.
Yeah. Crazy. Like
Yeah.
50% threes is such a high number, in terms of amount of threes shot, but then also in terms of amount of threes made. I mean, you
Yeah.
have guys who are shooting it at a 40% clip, consistently. And so to take, 10 threes and make four of them, that's really impressive in
Yeah.
terms of like the ability to shoot. But like you said, fans are looking for crossovers, they're looking for one-on-one, they're looking for dunking, and they're looking for that kind of thing. They're not really looking for long rebounds and three attempts at a three in a row, which you're seeing often.
All the
You
time.
see
All
drive,
the
kick
time.
out, miss three, offensive rebound, kick it out, miss three, offensive rebound, kick it out, miss three, we're going the other way.
Exactly.
And the fans in that situation are like, let's go to the concession stand.
Yeah, people
So,
people want to see like people still want to see LeBron drive the lane
yeah,
and people like get dunked on or
yeah,
people get out of the way because they know who he is or
yeah,
John Moran or anybody like that to come into the lane. They're like, I want to see that guy dunk. I want to see Anthony Edwards going and
yeah,
dunk.
yeah,
And you're like, okay, well, we want a little bit more of that and then less threes. Threes have been like an additive to the game, but threes have never been the focus of the game like it used to be now.
yeah. What do you think about rule changes or ways to combat this? I've considered it, and these things are most likely not going to happen anytime soon. But some ways that I've thought about combating it is one, starting to have no more 3-point line, which would kill the statistical era. That's why that's never going to happen. But having no more 3-point line, going back to
Going back
nope,
to what it
it's
used to be
yeah, it's
old
old school.
school.
Like everything counts as a two type situation,
Yeah.
and maybe give people a little bit more, make it more advantageous to get closer to the rim, kind of
Hmm.
get back to the old school,
Yeah.
or switching it to where a dunk counts as 3 points and a 3-point shot maybe also counts as 3 points type situation where it
Yeah.
may creates a little bit more equilibrium where people are trying to get that closer to the hoop, type
Yeah.
situation. And then you would have people, because a big complaint, right, is you see guys like, and no shade on these people, these are terrific players, but it is a criticism of them. And Anthony Davis doesn't like dunk the ball maybe as much as he should,
Mm.
or Joel Embiid doesn't dunk the ball as much as he
Yeah.
should. You hear that, versus like, because people always compare to like a Shaq,
Yeah.
like Shaq was every time trying to put you under the rim type situation.
100%.
And so it maybe gives people like that a little bit more motivation to say,
Yeah.
oh, I'm going to try to, flush this type
Yeah.
situation. And that way the reviews, how they review
Yeah.
everything now, the reviews can be, was that actually a dunk versus like when Dwight Howard like threw the ball in the rim, or like Anthony Edwards, some of his
Yeah.
more impressive dunks is more like a throw into the rim.
Hmm.
Like making rules, you have to like flush the ball through the rim and then touch the rim with your hand. That's what counts
Yeah.
as a
That would
dunk
be a
type
true dunk.
situation.
Yeah.
I think that could be an interesting thing to play around with in like an all-star game or a preseason
Yeah.
game and see like how it goes. But again, the statistical area is going to be taken care of. The
Yeah.
NBA wants to make sure that the guys who are playing feel that there's an opportunity for them to break records. So
Hmm.
you see just records and records being broken from, 3-point shots, Steph Curry just consistently breaking his own record.
Yeah.
Or LeBron James in the point situation, other people, the scoring championship or the scoring league. Now you see so many guys who are scoring 30, scoring 40, scoring
Yeah.
50, right? Like it used to be such an anomaly for somebody to score 50 points. And now it's like every other night you
It's
turn on
more.
Sports
It's
Center.
more regular.
Yeah.
Guys are getting better. Like they're getting better at shooting threes. They're getting better with their ball handling. They're getting better at drawing fouls.
Yeah.
Like that's gotten. It's completely different. Like drawing fouls is like now an
It's an
art.
art. It's an art.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like similar to the way that guys will like draw cards in soccer.
Mhm.
Like it's an art the way that you can put yourself in a way to generate points and
Mhm.
opportunities. So I think definitely adding some kind of multiplier on the dunk would be good.
Mhm.
I don't know about layups and stuff. Like people aren't trying to see layups and
Yeah.
hook shots. So definitely being like, okay, we're gonna add this dunk multiplier
Mhm.
to like change the game. I think that would definitely incentivize scoring inside more.
Yeah.
But then
And or even moving the 3-point line further, like, and
that's
not that
part of
guys wouldn't just adapt and start launching it from there, which would make the
yeah.
game maybe even worse potentially. But it's just either having a cap on amount of threes you can shoot, the way you have a cap on fouls,
Yeah,
that could work too, where it's
yeah,
like you get 25 threes in a game. 25, like, and the people on your bench have to kind of keep track. Okay, in the first quarter we shot 8, so we only have this many left. Save some for the fourth quarter. We might
yeah.
have to come back. Like that would make it such a chess game,
Or
you
they
know?
would, yeah, like the NBA would just keep track. Like the refs would be like, all right, y'all are.
Yeah, yeah. Similar to fouls, and then
Yeah,
like
they would
if
keep it
you
as a
shoot a
stat.
three, it's a technical foul
Yeah,
type situation. So
yeah,
that would require more IQ of the game.
yeah.
Guys would have to be like, okay, we only have this many threes. We're down by this much. We can't use our threes the same way as if you have 5 fouls or four
Hmm.
fouls. It's like, how much am I going to press up here? How much should I reach
Yeah,
before I'm out of the game? That would be interesting.
that would be good. I
Yeah,
definitely want to see more going to the basket,
yeah.
100%, and obviously the viewers do too because they're starting to now watch.
Yeah, and guys protect themselves. That's the ultimate thing. It's
Mm.
you can never blame a human who plays a sport for protecting themselves, right? Like if we're volleyball players, we're not going to purposefully like jump underneath the net,
Yeah.
trying to see where the risk is, but for a basketball player and a football player, and a hockey person, they've gotten more savvy. Football players are like, all right, if I touch the quarterback like this, I'm going to get a penalty. So I'm
Yeah.
going to try to avoid touching the quarterback like that. And quarterbacks go, okay, I feel a little more comfort doing this and this and this. Wide receivers know
Hmm.
if this person touches me like this, I'm going to get the pass interference flag. So let me
Yeah.
try to create some of that contact. And basketball players are like, look, if I shoot threes, I get more points and less injury risk. So why would I not shoot more threes?
I just got to catch and shoot
Yeah,
half
so there
count.
has to be incentive other than the millions of dollars they're getting paid apparently to go to the rim.
And the
So
way more than
yeah,
whatever they were getting in the past
yeah.
too.
So it's got to be incentive. It's got to be like we said. I think those are two great ideas. Incentivize dunking. Like you
Hmm.
would get an extra point for dunking,
Yeah.
or maybe like if you dunk a ball, you also get a free throw, something like that.
Yeah. Something attached to
Um,
it.
and then like a chance at another point. And then if you like if you let somebody dunk, they automatically get a free throw. So it's almost like an and one without anybody getting a foul. Like if you let somebody dunk, they get to go to the free throw line and get a chance at another point. Maybe that could work, rather than it
Okay.
just being automatic 3 points.
Mm.
And then the 3-point line, maybe that would be a good idea. It would totally slow down the game, but
If you extended
the
it,
if you
yeah.
well if you shoot a three, you get two, but then you get a chance to go to the line, you get an extra point. But it'd have to be played like speedball, for that to be interesting,
Yeah,
because
because
the game
that
can't
would
slow
slow
down.
down. Yeah, that
The
would slow
whole
down the
thing
game
people
a
are
ton.
interested in is like the game being faster. The
Yeah.
thing that's hard for sports, if you look at the baseball pitch clock, it's like when things started slowing down, people were like, "Oh my gosh, like this needs to
You
speed
put
up."
me to bed.
Yeah,
100%.
yeah. Okay, so NBA, two unassuming teams have been killing it this year. So not to say they weren't good in the past in
Mm.
terms of the Oklahoma City Thunder, but you have the Cleveland Cavaliers are crushing it in the league right now. 33
Yeah.
and 4, not really losing. I don't believe they've lost to a single team in the West yet.
I don't think so.
Their only losses coming to East Coast teams, and they beat the number one seed in the West a few days ago, which is the Oklahoma City Thunder, and they're playing just fluid. They've got
Mm.
Donovan Mitchell, who's their team leader, Darius Garland. Those are their two guards. Both of them capable of scoring. Both of them cat quick, super
Yeah.
fast. Their bigs have been playing really well. Jaren Allen, one of the best
Mm.
bigs in the league right now in terms of cleaning up the glass, finishing balls at the rim. Making savvy passes. A big time player for them who's been doing well is the guy from SC,
Which
Mobley.
one? Oh, Mobley.
Mobley.
Yeah, Evan.
He's been like stepping into his role and doing well. And they've got just three shooters who come off the bench, maybe even four, who do really well. Plus the guy from the Nets who they picked up,
Which one?
the 6'7" defender. He used to start for the Nets.
I don't know what you're talking
Um,
about. I gotta see
yeah,
that guy. Who you talking
yeah. What
about?
is his name? Shoot. Yeah, no disrespect. Let's see. The guy from the Nets. We Did you find
You
him?
talking about Jerome? Or you talking about
No,
Strauss?
no. Let's
Are you
see.
talking about Karis LeVert?
Yeah, Karis LeVert.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. He
LeVert
used to play for
for the
the
Nets.
Nets
Yeah.
and just like was starting at the Nets and doing well. And he's
Hmm.
like their seventh man now,
Yeah.
and does great for them. Long, super long,
You
gets in
gotta play your
defensive lanes.
role.
For sure. Know your role, play your position.
You gotta play your role. It is what it is.
Totally. And then Tristan Thompson, who
Mm-hmm.
he's like known as, OG leader guy. He's done some broadcast stuff
Rebounder.
and then gone back, So they've got the total package right now and they're doing well. So they'd have to stay healthy like any team, but they're rolling really well. So
34 and
that being
4.
said, what do you believe, gives teams the edge as we get closer to the playoffs for basketball? Like, you look at this thing that we've talked about. All right, there's so many good teams, so many good players.
Yeah.
You could be legitimately now an eighth seed, go in and play a one seed, beat them 4-0, and people wouldn't be that surprised. They would
Yeah.
go like, "Whoa, that happened!" But I could see that happening.
Yeah.
That's how good teams are now. So, what, in your opinion, just watching sports and watching the NBA specifically, do you think it'll take for a team to pull off a championship? Leave out the health piece. That goes without saying.
One is just shot making,
Hmm.
right? Because you look at any shooting, any basketball in college, high school, whatever, it's who's getting open shots and then also who's hitting the open shots.
Right.
So that's the first part. But the next part is team chemistry.
Hmm.
You got to make sure that the team is flowing together. They want to play together.
Hmm.
They're trying to follow the coach. They're following the leader of the team.
Hmm.
That's what you'll notice. Like teams that are really together, they'll push through when the situation gets tough.
For sure.
Like those are the like two things that I look at and I'm like, okay, that's a team that could win the championship.
For sure. For sure. I agree with that. So who do you have right now? We're pretty early in the season. It's hard to say, but who do you have going to the Western Conference and Eastern Conference Finals? It's 4 teams to pick.
Uh, Eastern, obviously, the Cavs, the Celtics.
Okay.
Um, I don't know. I see the Bucks getting in there,
Mm.
and the surprising team is actually the Magic. I'm really surprised they're playing
Yeah,
super
Paulo
well.
Banchero's coming
Yeah,
back.
he's
So if you
unstoppable.
were to pick two of those teams just for Eastern Conference Finals, who would you pick?
Mm, definitely the Cavs and the Celtics
Cavs, Celtics.
for
All right.
sure.
How about Western Conference Finals?
Mm,
A little tougher.
yeah, because nobody really playing that good except for the Thunder.
Yeah.
So the Thunder in the Western Conference are the only team that has single digit losses.
Right.
So they have 6 losses. The next closest is the Rockets, and they have 12 losses.
Right.
So that one's gonna be hard. Obviously, Thunder is in first, but uh, I still like the Mavericks
Okay.
in the
Mm.
mix.
Once they get healthy. Right now they
Yeah,
don't have Luca or Kyrie.
yeah, but I think them being healthy, like they're a very hard team to deal with.
I would agree. Okay.
What about you?
Let me take a look. Gosh, pretty tricky.
They all got the same record,
Yeah.
two through
Whew.
five, 2 through 6, like
Man,
have
there are
about
some
the same
teams hitting
record. About
badly. Okay. I'm gonna go with Western Conference. Wow. All right. I'm gonna say Western Conference Finals is Lakers
okay,
and does that match up on that side of the bracket? Thunder. One play 6. Lakers and Thunder is who I'm gonna go with. I could totally see the Warriors making a late run and figuring it
hmm
out, but they
they've been
struggle
having
in the
problems.
bigs. Like, yeah, like the guard play is okay, for the Warriors, but they struggle from like the big standpoint, and
I
it's
don't
tough
think
to
they
recover there.
ever like, and I don't think they ever focus on like getting like super quality bigs. Like they've never focused on like,
No, their game has been like run and gun, but now other teams have kind of caught up to that same system, but they're
yeah,
bigger.
yeah,
Other teams have the same system, but they're bigger. They used to get over that Steph Curry, Klay Thompson. Klay Thompson would play defense,
yeah,
Draymond would play defense, Steph Curry would run around like and cause attention, and they would just make shots and get on
yeah.
hot streaks. But now, yeah, it's like other teams play the same way.
They had that one year or those few years where I think they had JaVale McGee. Like
Hmm.
other than that, they haven't had like bigs. Everybody else has been like 6'8", 6'9". Like they're not getting the bigger players, and I'm like, you always got to keep somebody close to 7 foot on your roster, like
Hmm.
somebody who jumps really well.
Yeah,
So that's a weird one.
man. Yeah, everybody is like right around that same record. It's
Yeah,
interesting.
like everybody from like 2 through 8, 2 through 9, literally has like 20 wins and like 12 to 17, 18
Man, the
losses.
Suns fell off. They started out well. It went to like 5-0 at the beginning of the season. Yeah,
Yeah,
they fell
but
off.
everybody knows like just because you got superstars doesn't mean you're gonna gel.
That's right. That's
Like
right.
that's just how it
You hit
works.
that on the head.
Yeah.
So, those are interesting teams. All right. So, college football, we're in the mix of it right now.
Wait, what? Did you pick your East?
Did I pick my East?
I don't think you picked your
Oh,
East.
Celtics and Cavs for sure.
Okay.
Like that's yeah. Celtics and Cavs. There's a chance I could see the Knicks sliding in, like getting hot at the right time. I don't. I right now I don't believe in the Bucks. Like I think Giannis is a really good player. Dame is a really great player.
hmm
I worry about them having like more than that. I think Bobby Portis shows up,
Yeah.
too in clutch time, but I worry about them having more than that.
That's
It's
it.
like,
Yeah, they've always had issues with the supporting cast.
yeah, like depth is
100%.
huge in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Like you run out of gas, and especially if Damian Lillard's a smaller guard and he crushes it, but he's not like, hounding on you defensively in your
Mm-mm.
space. Like, and that's what the playoffs is about. It's like the Cavaliers right now. We'll see if they can keep it going, but like watching them, they are like in your lanes, in your space, consistently
Playing
up in you,
defense.
and
Yeah.
their pace is like out
It's
of this
fast.
world. Yeah, it's easy to say at the beginning of the season. They haven't even hit the All-Star break yet, but
Mm.
man, like Donovan Mitchell's on a mission too. We'll see.
Trying to get that shit.
Exactly. So that's what it is. College football right now. We're getting ready to head into a game today, actually. Texas versus Ohio State. Supposed to be a very big game. Very big, like, football populations in those schools,
Mm.
towns. Like, Ohio State runs deep, Texas runs deep. It's going to be a big time game. So, who do you have in that game?
I got Ohio, especially after they put hands on Oregon,
They
had
did.
everybody with the
Yeah, they did.
like jaws
They
dropped against
smacked them.
Oregon. I was really surprised too because I thought Oregon had played really well all year, and then they
Hmm.
came to the game. Like I think in that first half, it was like 30 or 31
Yeah.
to nothing.
Yeah. They got smacked.
Yeah, I was like,
They got smacked. That
you're
freshman,
13-0,
wide receiver, it's like whoo,
nasty,
physical. Like he's in
nasty.
there making plays consistently,
hmm
making it happen. So
But yeah, I got Ohio State for sure.
yeah, I
What about
actually
you?
have Ohio State as well. Ironically, I believe I'd like to see Texas win, but I believe Ohio State's going to win.
hmm
And that Notre Dame game yesterday was pretty intense. So
Yeah,
Notre
that's
Dame
close.
ended up beating them down the wire. Penn State had their opportunities. Quarterback throws a late pick, like right into the short side of the field.
Uh,
It gives them like two plays and a field
uh,
goal to end it. Yeah. And sometimes with football, again, you and I talked about this before on this podcast. It's like I didn't really even understand until earlier this year that it doesn't work that a quarterback like hikes the ball, sees things, and goes, "Oh, that's open," and throws it.
mm,
It's more like you're supposed to be in these places by the time I throw it, and so I'm
yeah,
gonna catch it, and you better be there. I'm gonna let it go,
yeah.
kind of situation. So knowing that now, I understand so much more why there's picks thrown,
hmm
but at the same time it's trying to know your matchup and trying to believe your guy's going to beat the other guy in X, Y,
Yeah.
and Z. But sometimes I watch these interceptions, I just go like, what part of you thought that that was going to work well? And that's how I felt about that Penn State error at the end of the game yesterday. Like
Yeah.
he dropped back, and as his player was running his slant route, or like he hit it out and then run an L, I don't know what it's called, but he ran straight and then ran to the left. And as soon as he got ready to throw the ball, the defender was already ahead of the offensive player.
Mm,
So I'm like, if you're leading the guy into that space, that's risky,
yeah.
at the end of the game especially. But hey, what do I know about playing quarterback?
No, I mean, just looking at it, and what's interesting is there's a ton of people on the field too,
Hmm.
which is rough. And then you're like, okay, I got to be protected,
Right.
and how do I feel about my protection scheme?
Yeah.
And then maybe I'm out of time and I have to throw the ball.
Yeah.
It
There's a
just
lot of
depends on the
variables. I'm just
situation.
like, I always
So,
look at the guys who are the most successful, the Patrick Mahomeses,
mm,
the Tom Brady's, the people like that, and like the patience is just there. Like when it's not there,
yeah,
it's like it's not there,
you
the
throw
throw
it
it
away.
versus like
Yeah,
I gotta fit this window.
yeah,
You don't feel that as much from them. They're like, I have to squeeze it in this window. It's more
yeah,
like I'll put it there when it fits, if it
yeah.
doesn't fit, especially with a tied game. That's the thing. Like it would have been different if it was like we gotta go now that like
hmm
we have 28 seconds and we're down.
Yeah.
But when the score's tied and you're on your side of the field,
You're not
I'm
be
not saying be
forcing throws.
cautious. Anybody who teaches sports at a high level would say you need to be aggressive, as
hmm
opposed to cautious. But the thing you hear all the time about quarterbacks is take care of the ball, take care of the ball, take care of the ball. That's like the primary
Don't
thing.
turn the ball over. If you're a quarterback, even if you don't throw a lot of touchdowns, if you don't throw a lot of interceptions, more than likely your team's going to be more successful than
Right,
not. So,
right.
because the best offense in football is a fumble pickup six or
Mhm.
like an interception pick six, one
Right,
of those.
for sure. No doubt. Okay, so when it's all said and done, let's say Ohio State, like we both have, makes it. Let's say they're going against Notre Dame. Who do you have winning the whole thing?
Ohio over Notre Dame.
Ohio
It
State.
might be close, but I still got Ohio.
Yeah.
I think they're like the most dynamic team
Mm,
in college. Everybody's fast. They know how to spread the field. They know how to create openings that you didn't know were there. Like
mm,
every time I look up when they were playing against Oregon, like the receivers were either wide open or like the quarterback was like putting the ball in the right spot.
Right.
So that's who I got.
Okay. Yeah, I would actually say Ohio State as well. So we're in lockstep there. NFL. So NFL is finally heading into the playoffs. This is the Detroit Lions' first time ever having first seed since like 1950 something.
That's
Yeah,
scum.
yeah, like it's been a long time. So Detroit Lions finally made it to the first seed. They're getting the bye,
Uh,
big time for them, but they're banged up. They're
yeah,
not in great shape. They're banged up, but they made it happen and they beat their rival, the Vikings, in their
yeah.
most recent game, even while banged up. And on the other side, you have the defending two-time Super Bowl champions, the Kansas City Chiefs, who just cannot seem to find a way to catch L's that often. So,
They're like, we're missing
yeah,
this.
they've been sliding out of the L's, and now they're starting to get healthier. So Patrick Mahomes got a week off in the bye
Hmm.
week to get his body right. Travis Kelce didn't play, but now from a
Yeah,
wide receiver standpoint, they have everybody back except for Rashid Rice. So they have the rookie Xavier Worthy. They have obviously Travis Kelce.
yeah.
They have Hollywood Brown. They have not Adams.
Who-
Come on, big time receiver. DeAndre Hopkins.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Hopkins they
Yeah.
have. And yeah, they're looking like they're gonna be in good shape offensively from that way. They got their running back, and their other running back was doing great,
Yep.
So
And
we'll see.
done it while they did it while they were not healthy. Like
Yeah,
you're winning while you're not healthy. Like that doesn't make any sense if
yeah.
most
So
teams end up getting you.
we're gonna find out. It's like they've got a really good defense led by Chris Jones, and they're going for number three. So, but there's a lot of teams out there who can knock them off. They've got the Bills, who've already beat them this year. The
Hmm.
Ravens are killing it. Like Lamar Jackson and Derrick Henry are killing it. Like whoo, like very impressive number. Saquon Barkley on the other side has been doing great, which we need to talk about them not letting him go for the record. Um, but you've got a lot of situations happening right now in the NFL and a lot of sleeper teams, a lot of teams who are already at the top of the food chain. And we're not even going to talk about the Cowboys or the Niners. They're out of the conversation today. Um,
It's not.
so, so with
Let's
the NFL
not.
teams, who you see going to the NFC and AFC championship?
Um, Obviously the Chiefs,
Hmm.
100%. Um, but I'm gonna hold tight with the Ravens.
Ravens over Bills, huh?
I'm a Ravens guy, so I think the Bills have been playing good, but I don't know. I think Lamar's gonna turn it on
Okay.
this time.
Ravens over Bills, and that
Yeah,
comes. I think they're on the side of the bracket that has to face each other, and then
yeah,
they go into playing potentially the Chiefs. Not that they're, couldn't be teams in advance who get it, but I
yeah.
believe it'll be Chiefs. Um, yeah, it most likely will be the Ravens. Chiefs, Ravens, I would choose on that side of the bracket. The Bills are good, but Chiefs, Ravens.
The Bills have been good. We got Chargers 11-6.
Mm, I'm not as high on them, but again, in football, it's one game.
Yeah,
It's one game. One pick six, one like you said, one fumble, one like injury can change the whole layout.
any given
So
Sunday.
we'll see. And then on the other side of the bracket,
Let's see what we
who do you
got.
have?
Lions, of course.
Yeah, think they're gonna
Um,
make it this year?
I still think they're gonna fight it out. Like what they have proven is they've got a lot of grit.
Yes,
So I think
yes.
that's especially what Detroit is like a Motor City.
Mm-hmm.
I think they've got a lot of grit. And then I don't know, like I'm kind of leaning towards Philly because Philly's been playing really good.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I'm gonna go with that because everybody else is like, eh.
Medium.
Yeah, everybody
Yeah.
else is like, eh. So I'm gonna go with those two. But
Lions,
the
Vikings.
Vikings been
Yeah.
playing good too.
Yeah, but
So
it's hard to lean on Sam Darnold. Did you see that performance against the against the Lions? That was woo.
it
If
was
there was anything that brought your team back to earth, like
yeah,
Justin Jefferson was on the field like freaking out.
yeah, it's questionable.
Yeah, that was not good.
It's
So
questionable.
that you don't want to feel that going in. Baker Mayfield though, this guy has been making it
This dude's been
happen.
figuring it
He's
out.
been making it
He's been
happen.
figuring it out.
That's a sleeper right there. So, for me, I'm gonna say Eagles. I do believe will make it. I think the Commanders are probably a year or two away from making it.
Yeah, they got the young QB.
Yeah, but Eagles and whew, do I want to go Lions or Bucks? I don't know. Last year the Lions knocked out the Bucks, right? In that
Yeah,
in the second to last game,
I
Baker
believe so.
Mayfield had the
Yeah.
ball at the end of the game and then he threw it and then was like on the ground. I don't know. I might go. I might call that upset. I think I'm gonna go Buccaneers and Eagles. That's what I'm gonna
Okay.
go with. Eagles and Buccaneers. We'll
I'm
see how that
I'm
plays out.
disappointed that like Burrow isn't in the mix because Burrow was the best quarterback in the league to
He
me.
was
I
killing
think
it.
he had the most touchdowns or he was like second
Yeah, he was killing it.
and literally just had trash defense. They were scoring like over 30,
Yeah, but that's what
40
happens when you play
points.
at the
Like
beginning of the year. Like they came back and did their thing at the end of the year, but you can't be leaving your fate to other people. Like, and you can't be leaving your fate to other people. They started off so slow, and at the end of the year, they had that situation where it's like this team has to win, this team has to lose. Like you can't be playing
yeah,
that. That's
you got
games.
3 to 5 things that need to happen
Yeah,
in your favor in order for you to
that
get
is
in.
games right there.
Yeah,
So yeah, that's unfortunate, but maybe next year we'll find out.
some guys.
Yeah. So,
Maybe next year, and it
who
is what it
who
is.
do you have winning the Super Bowl?
I can't go against the Chiefs. I just can't. And like I said before, I've always diehard like Dallas Cowboys fan,
Hmm.
but like my second team has always been the Ravens
Hmm.
since the Ray Lewis era.
Hmm.
Always liked the Ravens, so I don't know. I'm definitely picking the Chiefs, but I like the Ravens too.
Yeah, I'm picking the Chiefs as well. I've had them since the beginning of the season, but I will say if the Chiefs are going to lose, it'll happen in the AFC Championship, not the Super Bowl. Like if the Chiefs make it to the Super Bowl, I
Yeah,
believe they will win. They
they'll
will
catch
beat
one.
Detroit or
Whoever
the
shows up.
Buccaneers or whoever. But if they lose, it'll be AFC Championship. Like either Lamar Jackson will finally get over that hump,
Yeah,
or the Bills will
yeah,
finally get over that hump against them because
yeah.
they always get snaked in the AFC Championship. But I do believe like just Patrick Mahomes just has a way, and he has this energy and this aura. Like he's supposed to surpass Tom Brady eventually.
Yeah.
You know, the guy. We'll see. Like Tom Brady's got 7, which is like that's unfathomable. Most guys don't play 7 years, let alone win seven
Oh
Super
my
Bowls.
gosh.
But he's just got this aura, of like, okay, Tom Brady beat him when they went head
Hmm.
to head, but it's like, okay, I'm taking that knowledge now from the master,
Yeah.
and I'm gonna just take this thing and parlay it. And so if he can get 3 in a row, that'll be Super Bowl number 4 or 5. A
I
4.
think it'd be four
It'll
for
be number
him.
4, but
Yeah, I think
like,
it'd be
I
four
mean,
for him.
he's like in his 20s. So if he can pull that off, like with the
You got
team.
longevity to play as long as Tom. Tom played
Yeah, I
past.
mean, we'll see. He's gonna find a way because people are gonna start like Tyreek Hill, for example, who was
Hmm.
complaining the other day, like I'm not coming back to Miami, da da da. Guys like that who are high quality, when they start getting near those contract years, they're gonna start sliding over. Like DeAndre Hopkins, like
Yeah.
slid over there. Yeah, they're gonna
I'm gonna
start being
go. I'm gonna
like,
go back.
I want to win, so I'm
Yeah.
gonna go with this guy.
Hmm.
But I also think Lamar Jackson's always going to be an attractive person to play with over the years. Like they have Zay Flowers, but like whew, there's crazy athleticism right now in the
On
NFL.
that entire, I mean, in that entire squad, you got Henry.
Hmm.
Like Henry's super athletic, and he be running people over
Yeah,
and stiff arming
yeah,
people. Like,
like huge,
hmm.
like
Like,
bigger than linebackers. Like I'm huge. Yeah, so we'll find out, but that's what we got. We got the Chiefs coming. So LeAngelo Ball, for those of you who don't know, he has a new song out. It's called Tweaker, and it's kind of overtaking the sports world right now. It's an interesting song, but he's basically going through it, and there's some hood stuff he talks about in there, but he talks a little bit about his upbringing and like shout out to his
yeah.
dad and like being a winner and X, Y, and Z. But it's a pretty good song. I've listened to it. I'm waiting for the clean version to come out on Spotify, so that I can play it in the facility. But it's a pretty good song. So have you heard the song?
I heard the song.
What are your thoughts on the song?
I heard the song. Just hearing it off the top, it sounded like the old school, not Lil Wayne, but like the group that was involved with like
Hmm.
Hot Boys.
Yeah, yeah,
Like that sounded like kind of Hot
yeah.
Boys. But when I heard it, I was like, I don't like it. Like
So I don't like
I don't like
it.
it. Like World Star, I think had like over 6 million views and
Uh-huh.
like over 230,000 likes.
Uh-huh.
And I was listening to it and I was like, I don't really like it. I saw a comment. It was really funny. Like there's a comment under the video. The comments I wrote it down. It said LeVar Ball LeVar Ball wrote this song in 2005 as a backup plan. It was a YouTube comment. I just so happened to be looking
Oh man.
under the video and I saw the comment. I was laughing so hard. He wrote this in '05 as a backup plan,
Oh
just in case
man.
one of the balls didn't make it to the league or
That
something like
is
that.
comedy.
But
You
yeah,
can see
like
that happening though.
I'm not a fan of it, but I can see why people would end up liking it. But everybody's got their own
No doubt,
taste.
no doubt. So if you haven't checked it out, it's called Tweaker by Leangelo Ball. I think it's Jello G3, G3 Jello
Yeah,
is the name
Jello,
he
something
goes
like
by,
that.
something like that. All right, so transitioning now, we wanted to talk today about the importance of working out. So I'm gonna let KJ take the lead on this one, and then I'll throw in my piece after that.
Yeah, so I was just looking up some stats and also just kind of looking around to what things look like pre pre-COVID and then after.
Hmm.
And I was like, I don't really think people have been like training and working out to the way that they were pre-COVID, and then COVID ended up lasting like 2 years.
Hmm.
For some people, it lasted longer. I think everybody got affected by it differently.
Hmm.
But I was like, there's definitely this wave of like people not working out as much, which is something I think is super important. Like, we definitely both work out a lot. You work out more than I do. I work out like one to three times a week,
Hmm.
depending on my schedule, but also like we both have been athletes our entire lives. So when we work out, it's more of like maintenance mode than
Hmm.
it is of like trying to build, which is what we did back in college.
Hmm.
But I was looking at some stats here, and there was a statistic that said that pre-pandemic for men and then women, there was an 11% prevalence of obesity for men and then 15% for women. It said after COVID, it was 25% for men and then 42% for women.
Wow.
Like prevalence of obesity, which means it could be coming in or you could be overweight and then moving into it. So I think just as important that we're taking the time to go work out and go train, even if that means it's once a week or it's 20 or 30 minutes, whatever it is, go run, go walk, go move around, go lift weights,
Hmm.
just because it's more important for the quality of your life. And I'm starting to look around and I'm like, what is your life going to look like when you turn 50,
Hmm.
when you turn 60? Like, what I can see is like, yeah, you can carry the weight into 30s, you can carry your weight into 40s, but then once you get to 50s, it becomes almost near impossible to hold that weight with your body. And then 50s, 60s, and on, you're like, how am I going to hold this? Am I going to have to be in a wheelchair? Am I going to be in a walker? Am I going to be doing this, doing that? So just weight training and conditioning and things like that, I think it's important if you look ahead to what you want to do in the future.
No doubt. Love it. So what I can add on there is some guidance and some loopholes I see. So for example, this morning there's a young lady who I work with who's in Texas, and we do two things together. We do some mentality work and we do some strength training work. And so literally I was on a Zoom with her this morning before we did the podcast, early her time, 7 a.m. her time, 5 a.m. here,
Mm,
and we did some of the mentality work, but then I like did the workout with her. So
yeah.
like I got on a video call, I went in our performance room and like run her through the stretches, run her through the weight stuff, run her through like the body position stuff. And I think to myself so often, the biggest excuses that I hear are number one, people don't know what to do.
Mm,
Number two, people don't have the time. And then number three, oh, I did something, but
yeah.
I don't see any changes happening. And so,
Yeah.
like, to combat those three things, what I would say to people who may be listening to this and like thinking those things in their head as an excuse of why they don't is one, you can always make time. There's 24 hours
Yeah.
in a day, and even if you say you get 8 hours of sleep, that leaves 16 hours. By and large, the majority of you are not working 16 hours a day. I know because I'm a person who oftentimes does work 16 hours a day,
Yeah.
and other people aren't doing that, and I still work out. So
Yeah.
you can find the time, like, period, point blank, period. There's no, oh, I have kids, or I have this responsibility, or I have whatever. You can find the time. You just have to
Hmm.
be willing to get up 45 minutes earlier than you normally get up.
Yeah.
So that's A. Build it in your schedule the same way you would build in a dentist appointment, the same way you would build in your lunch that you're going to have, the same way you would build in work. Like you have
Hmm.
to build it into your schedule, not like, well, I'll probably get up and work out sometime. It's like at this time I'm going to go do this
Yeah.
specific. That's point A. Point B about like what to do. I would slot it out if I'm you. A quick buildup. What I mean, a quick buildup. If you were like not working out at all, week one you work out twice. Week two you work out 3 times. Week four you work out 4 times. And from there you guarantee that you're going to win the week.
Yeah.
And so in your mind you put it in. I want to work out 5 or 6 days a week. That way, if you miss a day and only do it 4, you're still on the up and up. But you got to win the week. You got to work out at
Hmm.
least 4 out of the 7 if you're a non-athlete.
Yeah.
If you're a non-athlete. Um, and so that piece, like building that, what to do within those workouts. Separated out would be a good thing for most people. So some people like a full body thing. I prefer a full body thing. I like to go, my man Nico, who's behind the camera over here, he knows. We work out together sometimes and we usually do full body. It's like we're gonna do some stuff for the legs, we're gonna do some stuff for the core, we're gonna do some
Yeah.
stuff for the upper body, so everything gets worked because we don't know when the next one's coming.
Hmm.
If you have a consistent cadence, you can block it out to where you do leg day,
Hmm.
upper body day. If you're really crushing it, you can separate out the muscle groups to like the front of your body. Like
Yeah.
I'm gonna hit my hips, quads, whatever. And then on the next day, I'm gonna go my butt, my glutes, my hamstrings, my calves. Next day I'm gonna do back and triceps.
Hmm.
Next day I'm gonna do, chest and biceps, core, whatever.
Yeah.
But by and large, what I'd recommend for people is alternating weights and cardio. So you have a day that you do some sort of cardio. And cardio doesn't have to be treadmill, elliptical, bike. For some people it is. For some people that can
Yeah.
be actually like playing sports. I'm gonna go out and play pick up basketball. I'm gonna go
Yeah.
shoot by myself. I'm gonna go run myself on the beach and do like a beach volleyball workout. I'm
Hmm.
gonna go do pickleball, tennis, whatever.
Yeah.
Cardio where you're sweating, actively moving, and you feel your muscles straining.
Hmm.
And then on the in-between days, lifting weights. And again, most people kind of envision Mr. Universe when they think of weightlifting. It doesn't have to be that. You can literally get in the gym and grab some dumbbells that are no problem for you to lift and
Hmm.
just do body movements. Like I'm gonna go do some squats. I'm gonna do some
Yeah.
side lunges, front lunges. I'm gonna do some overhead press. I'm gonna do some
Hmm.
chest press, some shoulder raises. And as long as you can start to get consistent, like KJ said, you're gonna feel better. You're gonna feel more
100%.
prepared for your 50s and 60s. You're gonna feel more prepared for life. You're gonna feel more self-confidence that way. And all this can be done in half an hour. Like if you're efficient with it and
Legitimately.
you're not texting
Yeah.
and you're not on the side chit-chatting, if you just go, look, I'm gonna hit it, clock on, boom,
Yeah.
warm up, get flow, get my stuff in, water, get my flow in, water, get my flow in, stretch, done. You could do that, all that before you even take your shower in the
You
morning.
could get, yeah, you could get like 5 or 6 exercises in 30 minutes as
For
long as you're
sure.
supersetting and you're not taking a long time break in between.
Yeah.
Like, and also the other piece is just making sure that you're trying to progress,
Mhm.
even if it's a little bit.
Mhm.
Like, you don't want to be holding 10s or 20s for like 3, 4 months.
Right.
Like, the goal should always be some type of progression. So then you actually feel yourself getting stronger
Mhm.
and then you're not feeling stagnant in your workout.
Yep. Progression of weights or progression of reps. One of
Hmm.
the two. Like you're
100%.
either increasing the rep count or you're increasing the weight count. One of the two. And
Hmm.
it does not have to all be the scientific stuff. Too many people now are feeling like they're getting paralysis by analysis. They're like, well, they say you should do this and this and that. Like, you need to go old school. If
Yeah.
you're not a person who already works out, you need to go old school. Do something. Pick up weights, start
Yeah.
moving.
And I'm not that guy either, 'cause I don't know if you're that guy like with the food and stuff where you'll hear the trainers like, "Oh, you gotta check your macros and you gotta set up your food and
No, we're not
what type
doing
of
any of that.
protein you take in and
Yeah.
the creatine and stuff." Like, I'm not that guy at all. Like, I've never tracked my food
Mhm.
whatsoever. I've never tracked like my calories and stuff like that. Like, I will make sure to take some kind of protein,
Mhm.
right? But for the most part, I'm not trying to track. Like, what I'm trying to do is make sure that I'm going to work out and then eating when I feel hungry,
Yeah.
right?
And there's levels to it. I mean, for you, you've always had a fast metabolism. Like for
No
me,
doubt.
I've been the opposite. I'm like, I have had periods of time where I'm playing as an athlete where I've
Mm.
had to make the mature decision to go because I really like food.
Yeah.
Like, and I've had to. I mean, you and I lived in Finland together, and every Tuesday, where would we be? We'd be right at
We
Ottapoika.
getting them
Yeah, we get the
pancakes.
pancakes in heavy, like in boatloads. Like I'm talking for those of you who are watching this, we're talking like 30 pancakes in a single day.
And
Like
then we would have them pack it up and we'd
and
take
have
it to go.
leftovers. Like
Yeah, we'd
we'd
take it to
be
go.
hitting it,
The whole
right?
deal.
And so naturally, that's not going to leave you in the best state. Like you're
Yeah.
just crushing pancakes, right?
Mm.
But what are we also doing? Morning practice, right at the gym, gym 99, get the lift in, afternoon practice, be on the bike before the
Wow.
practice, hitting it, and then you're playing in games,
And we
right?
would lift early too. We
Mm-hmm.
would go and lift like two
Yep.
hours before our
6
lift
a.m.
time.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
because we were like, this is too small of a window.
Yeah.
So our lift time would be like 10. We'd be in the gym at like 7 or 8.
Yeah. Yeah. Like And so it just has to match to me. Like you have to know yourself for sure. Like if you have a situation like KJ where it's fast metabolism, enjoy it. You know, eat what you want to eat as long as you're not crushing your arteries and stuff. But get your workouts in. If you're more like me, mine was all competition based. If I knew I wanted to win a national championship or something, it was like, yeah, you don't get to eat In-N-Out burger. You don't get to eat past a certain time. You got to eat the eggs. You got to eat the chicken. You got to eat the spinach, whatever.
Hmm.
So you can win this national championship. The moment the national championships were up, I was like,
Let me do
let's hit
me.
the wherever. Let's hit the Chick-fil-A. Let's hit the IHOP,
You was on the
whatever.
Cafe Rio.
Uh-huh, the Cafe
Cafe Rio,
Rio,
big
like them
time.
tortillas. Like you have to know the situation. So for now, I'm not competing for anything except for trying to get to the highest level in like what we do in business and podcasting and all that
Hmm.
type of situation. So it's like, all right, make sure that I'm healthy, make sure that my arteries are not super crazy clogged, make sure that I am working out, I'm active, my heart rate and beat is going strong, I feel myself sweat.
Hmm.
But you can embody these concepts. The whole point is like you have to be working out, you have to win the week. If
Yeah.
you're winning the week, guarantee your confidence is going to go up.
Hmm.
For sure.
No
For sure.
doubt. Like it.
Okay. All right. So women's volleyball season is just finishing up. You had Penn State take the crown. You know, you and I had talked before, and the two biggest upsets were Pitt losing and Nebraska losing. So those are two big
Yeah.
time games people had expected Pitt to make it to the finals. People had expected
Hmm.
Nebraska to make it to the finals, and both of them got upset.
Yeah.
So, to what KJ was talking about earlier, just team chemistry, team cohesion, that kind of thing, it ended up playing a really big role. You saw Louisville come together when their star player got hurt, and they
That
just
ankle
played lights out
rolls.
at
Woo.
home. Yeah, they played lights out at home and did work when Anna got hurt. And
Ugh.
then you also have the same situation with Penn State, where Penn State got a little window open for them because
Yeah.
both teams had the chance to close it out. Like
Hmm.
Nebraska, I forget which was which, but Nebraska and Pitt, one of them was up in the third set, like 21 to 24, 20 to 24, and ended up
Yeah.
losing. And then that's what created the whole comeback. And the other team had a situation where they had an opportunity to close out the second set
Yeah.
and they were up, I think 21 to 24,
Yeah.
let them come back, and then that's what made it like an even game.
I think in that pig game, I think they were up big in a
Pitt was
set,
up
and then they
24 to
let.
20, I believe, in the
I
third.
thought it was. I thought it was bigger than that. I think it was like maybe an 8 or 9 point
Yeah,
lead, and they
maybe,
let
but
they let them come back.
I
I was
know
like,
for a fact those are the two scores that I remember thinking about. There's one
yeah.
of them was Louisville ended up being down, I believe, 20 to 24. And who did Louisville play in the semis? Pitt?
I thought that was the pit one.
Okay, yeah, they were down 20 to 24 in the second set,
And
and
they
came
came
out
back.
scored like six straight,
Yeah.
and they come all the way back and win it. And that's what made it 1-1 as opposed to
Mhm.
2-0.
Mhm.
And then in the Nebraska game, they had 21, they had 24-21, let Penn
Mhm.
State come back, and then that was the game that went all the way down to the wire,
Yeah.
and then Penn State took it. But a shout out to Penn State. You know, they had that outside hitter who transferred from Michigan State. Jess, I don't want to mispronounce her name, Merzik or Mzerzik, something like that,
Yeah.
but she was just like making
She's
the right shots at
nasty.
the right time, like going 4 to 4, hitting the high flat line out of system, tooling up and away.
I think she also has probably one of the heaviest arms in
Yeah, she was
college.
smashing.
Like and it wasn't just like a 70% 4 to 4
Hmm.
because everybody, if you play volleyball, like a area four swing, the area four swing is probably the hardest swing to take
Yeah.
as a pin hitter.
Hmm.
And she was crushing them, like hitting 100 miles per
Yeah.
hour, lighting people up, hitting people with the
Yeah.
ball. I was like, who's
Yeah.
sitting in for
Yeah, they
this?
were not taking
And
it. She
hitting
was
it
lighting it up.
inside
Inside the
of the
10-foot line, yeah.
inside the off blocker.
Yeah.
The off blocker was
Like
like,
smashing it. Like facing it too. Like I'm
yeah,
coming right here. Pop. Like consistently. So
nasty.
just people just aren't used to seeing that. And that shows
Mm,
you the lack of versatility in terms of being able to switch game plan. And to be clear,
yeah,
I'm not saying like these people are unversatile. They're in the Final Four. They're the
yeah,
best teams in the country. But when it comes to that top tier level, you know, when I think about my Final Four history,
yeah,
it's really about being able to make adjustments in real time. And if
hmm,
you don't have somebody in your gym doing these things,
yeah,
like it's hard in real time for young ladies and young men to be able to go, all right, I'm gonna conceptualize as a blocker. I need to move 12 inches further than I'm used to
yeah,
and do that every time and be okay with you hitting something else. Because in your
hmm,
gym, it might be, well, our best player always hits the line seam, so I got to close the seam.
yeah,
And in real time, like you're thinking about so much that you can't make that adjustment. And so that's the whole concept of being able to slow it down in your practices and go, all right, when we play somebody who hits 4-4, this is how we're going to play them. Let's rep that over a full week.
Yeah.
When we play somebody who hits high flat off the block, this is the defense we're going to run.
Yeah.
When we play somebody who's all tips and rolls and throwdowns, this is how we're going to play them. Now, let's run a practice or 2 or 3 or 4 where on the snap of a finger, you guys have to change the defense. Okay, 3 points, we're going to play it this way. Switch it.
Yeah.
3 points, we're going to play it this way. That's an idea. And of course, there's only so much time. You have to work on your offense and your own siding out. And these teams made it to the Final Four. So I want to keep repeating that. It's not like they got blown up in the first round by some sleeper team. They're
Yeah.
in the Final Four. So it's small margins, but that's the difference, from somebody who has played at that level and knows like what it takes to be able to win the NCAA championship. It's not all about like who's got the biggest jumpers and the hardest hitters and the highest flyers. It's like who can show up with their best stuff
Yeah.
consistently. And that's what that Jess girl was doing. Like she wasn't like slowing down. It's like I'm bringing it
Yeah.
every time. And then who can make the defensive adjustments? And that's what you didn't really see from Pitt. Like Olivia Babcock did not play badly. She was killing it. She had like 35 kills in a couple sets.
I
But
think she hit records on kills in multiple matches.
Yeah.
Like over 30 kills.
But
which
it's
is
like they
insane.
could not play defense and they couldn't
Yeah.
slide out at the end of the game. Like
Mhm.
they couldn't pass the ball up straight. Their H2 was like not so great finishing it out. So that's what it takes. So hats off to Penn State. But more so, I wanted to talk about where women's volleyball is going. Like you have this traction that's building now with Love Volleyball. Like so many of the national team players are
Yeah.
here in the States now. Like they're
Yeah.
not overseas. They're here in the States playing on these Love teams with Love
Mhm.
Texas, Love San Diego, Love here, Love there.
Mm.
And it's like building. And so we've talked about this in previous podcasts, but it's really a time. If you are a fan of volleyball or honestly not a fan of volleyball, it's time to jump on the bandwagon. Like if you
100%.
want to get involved in the NILs that are coming, if you want to get involved in the jobs, the professional jobs, camera people are going to
Yeah.
have jobs. People who are sports marketers are going to have jobs. People who sell tickets, people who do events, people who host buildings, people who do real estate. You're going to get jobs within what's happening right now with women's
Yeah.
volleyball. And it's smart of you to jump on the bandwagon because people who have the funds are starting to put it into this. Like
Yeah.
$100 million that they raised for them to start things in this 2025, and it's only getting bigger. You have Joe Burrow, who you talked about.
Yeah.
He's involved. Kevin Durant's
Yeah.
involved. Jason Derulo's
Yeah.
involved. Like there's so many people right now who are starting to get involved. I have personal friends, CJ Watson, he's
Mhm.
like getting involved.
Yeah.
And it's continuing to grow, it's continuing to build. So I'm super excited for what's happening in volleyball. Not necessarily for the NIL portion because that situation is
You
sloppy.
gotta pay up.
Yeah, that situation's sloppy. But when it comes to how the game is going to grow and being able to see the sport here in the United States and
Mhm.
potentially get it on TV, and imagine if volleyball started being regularly played on ESPN.
Yeah.
Like that would make it so much more viewed and so much more appreciated. And people are flooding to it right now. Club
Mhm.
volleyball, beach volleyball, taking these opportunities. But if it starts to expand beyond that, it's going to be a really big deal for young ladies.
Once again, it's a different game than what it was when we were coming into playing
Mhm.
high school. Like I was just telling somebody that the other day. I was like, I played high school ball when you didn't need to play club
Right,
to get onto a high school ball team.
right,
Now, if you don't play club, you probably shouldn't even show up to
right,
tryouts.
right.
Like it's become like that hard. The level has gotten a lot higher than it was before. Kids have been playing, and kids and parents are asking like, "Hey, when should I start playing?" I'm like, "You probably need to start playing at like 10."
Yeah, you need to start
Yeah, I
playing
was like, "You need to
yesterday.
start playing at like 10."
Yeah,
Because you need to make sure that you put in those 3 or 4 years to get you to freshman tryouts
hmm
where you're gonna make the team.
right.
I was like, unless you're blessed with height off the top, most likely coach's not gonna take you.
Right.
So I think just the level of the game has grown a lot, beach and indoor side. And then also I think there's still the element of patience. Like it's going to grow,
Yes.
but once again, we need to have MLS patience,
Yes.
right? So give us the 10, 15, 20 plus years to grow it out and it's gonna be big.
Yeah. No doubt. All right. So speaking of NIL, right now there was just a really big move that happened in women's college volleyball after the finals happened. So Tori Stafford, who plays on Pitt or had previously played on Pitt for the last 2 seasons, she started as a freshman, went to the Final Four. Started as a sophomore, went to the Final Four, earned first team All-American. She entered the transfer portal, and it was really big news amongst the women's volleyball community. And as of recently, she is now committed to Texas, which has NIL written all over it, right? So usually in sports in general, people are not just getting up and leaving their programs at a whim unless there was something notable that happened.
Yeah,
And
for
usually when you're
for
starting at the
sure.
primary, Dan Fisher's a great guy,
Hmm.
at Pitt, the head coach. NIL, starts to get involved. Texas has got money. Texas has got their football team in the Final Four.
Hmm.
Texas has got historical times being in the national championship, and they've got a ton of donors in Texas who are making it
Hmm.
happen. So, my question to you is, do you believe it's like an NIL situation that's making that transition happen? Or do you think it's some kind of displeasure, discontentment with the situation that we're in at Pitt?
Um, it could be a combo.
Hmm.
Could be a combo. Like you could be getting a nice contract, but also once again, we don't know what's happening behind the scenes.
Right.
There may be an issue with the coaching staff. There may be an issue with other players. She may be looking at the roster and being like, is the next year's roster going to be as good as this roster or
Right.
better than this roster?
Right.
So there's a lot of reasons that she could be making a move. If you're going to get a good NIL deal, especially as a college athlete, and once again, we know that you're not getting paid a ton of money to play pro
Hmm.
volleyball. So if you can get a good NIL deal in college, you take it.
Right.
So there's a lot of different factors.
For sure. And so it opens up with like another example, Carson Beck, who's been the quarterback at Georgia.
Yeah.
He's now in the transfer portal, right? And people have their opinions on where he might go or whatever the case,
Yeah.
but there's such this limbo of conversation between people who there's the old school people who
Hmm.
feel like a school recruited you, you committed there, they started you, they branded you, all this, like how could you leave them, type of
Hmm.
situation. But there's the situation like you just said, which talks about like basically opportunity for the individual. Like if this school's not providing this opportunity,
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to a place that does provide that opportunity.
Yeah.
And anybody can have their own opinion on it. It's not even really worth debating. Like what's the way? For
Hmm.
every individual, they can have their own opinion. But the whole point of this is it's showing you where the game is going.
Yeah.
And what time in history have you ever seen a scenario where mid college experience, a young lady, we're talking about women's college volleyball, a young lady left a program that was in the top 10, let alone top
Yeah.
4, and just out of the blue, ends up somewhere else.
Yeah.
And the reason that you're going to begin to see that is NILs. You're going to see that because of the era we're in college sports, where athletes now can be in bidding wars,
Yeah.
athletes can be in tampering wars, type situations. So,
People got donor money now, and what you're starting to see is a lot of people from these schools, these former alma maters. They're like, hey, I got NIL money. I got unlimited.
mm,
I think that Magic said he was gonna give forgot where he went, Michigan or
mm,
Michigan State. I
mm,
think he said he was gonna give Michigan State like unlimited NIL money
wow,
because he wants to ship.
right,
So it's like it's a tough conversation to have. Like I said before, I'm completely for monetizing college sports.
mm,
The reason is because the colleges, NCAA, everybody else
was
was
benefiting,
making a ton of money off of top level football, top level basketball, and then other sports that were playing really well and were
mm,
popular. And I'm like, why can't the players get a piece of this?
right,
Like, so for me, I'm fine with it. I'm not so fine with the jump ship situation where
mm,
you can kind of just jump into the portal whenever you want. It's a different conversation. But I'm definitely fine with monetizing college sports, especially since the players are the product.
yeah, no doubt. Okay, so heading into our closing, just giving you guys some financial encouragement heading into 2025 from me. Always the beginning of the year just resets the tax situation, and
Hmm.
as you think about the tax situation, starting to think about ways that you should allocate your money. So, number one, making sure that you have multiple accounts that you're starting to consider. One, a savings account that you put tax money into, so that you're not surprised when tax time comes or
Hmm.
scrambling. Number two, making sure that you have some sort of savings account, and we can get, super specific with IRAs and CDs and investment
Hmm.
accounts and stock markets and a savings account.
Yeah.
Like you need to have an account that you're not touching that is for savings.
Yeah.
Separately from that, an emergency savings. So clarifying that those are two separate things. Emergency savings is not the same thing as like I might want to use this sometime in my life to do what I want to do savings. So
Yeah.
emergency is what it says. It's an emergency.
Yeah.
Like unforeseen. Unfortunately, houses are burning down. Emergency savings come into play with being able
Yeah.
to grab a hotel or hey, I still got to get my kid clothes, X, Y, and
Hmm.
Z. That's an emergency savings.
Yeah.
Or your car breaks down, X, Y, and Z. It's an emergency. separate from I might want to take a trip to the Bahamas or Aruba one day.
That ain't no
Fine.
emergency.
I might want to whatever, work on this new business project and invest in it. That's separate savings, or I just want to put this in my retirement for the future.
Yeah.
I recommend you have separate savings in retirement and emergency savings.
Mhm.
But for now, for those of you who are starting out, emergency savings. Those things I do not touch. Those are not getting spent day to day. Those are not getting spent month to month.
Yeah.
And then in addition to that, starting to have something that is preparing for your consistent bills and expenses. So if you have to pay for food, if you have to pay for gas, if you have to pay for rent, if you have to pay for utilities,
Mhm.
things like that, making sure that account is on point. So how many accounts have we hit so far? Savings for taxes, emergency savings, general savings, daily life. That's 4 as a minimum that I would be running if I'm you. And then if you want to start to get more specific and more expansive, you can go on from there. But if you have those 4 accounts, you're going to feel a lot more financially healthy in 2025. You're going to feel a lot more confident. And then if
Mhm.
you put that into play with a written down plan of what you would like to achieve by year's end, or what you would like to be doing with these funds, or what you would like to make happen with them, you're going to end up being in really good shape, and you're not going to panic about money. And there's a lot of people living check to check. There's a lot of people who are panicking about money.
Yeah.
And so if you want to avoid that panic, there was some advice for you. Start with those 4 things.
No doubt. I definitely have been looking around. I think the stats have continued to go up. It's like, I think in between 60 and 80% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck.
Mhm.
And once again, I always factor in the big three. So it's your housing, your food, and your transportation. And like I said before, if you're in a situation where you can downsize your living situation, you probably want to go into that. If you are having a car payment, you probably shouldn't have a car payment. You should probably try to downsize into something that's cheaper, something with no car payment. Like always trying to find a way to get into a better spot financially, but also adding into that, expanding your skills so you can try to make more money as well.
Mhm.
Or if you need to pick up a second job, whatever that is. But I always say you want to try to create some type of breathing room if you don't have any.
Right.
And I think that's the part that kind of gets people in trouble because I hear it pretty often of the like I have my own place and like I'm not gonna change that situation.
Mm-hmm.
But then you're like you're either drowning financially, like you barely can make your bills, or you're literally like I can't do anything,
Outside of
right?
that.
I can't do anything outside of what I'm doing and I still want to live in this situation and I think it's separating the conversation of I deserve this versus I've earned this.
Right.
And I think that's been the biggest issue with people and their finances. So people be like, "Oh, like I want to get this car cuz I deserve this car."
Mm-hmm.
But do your finances say that you've earned
Earned
this
it.
car or not? And I think most of the time the answer is no. I haven't earned this. I just think I've deserved it.
Right.
So I think it's just separating those two concepts and then being able to see, okay, I might need to downsize for a few years to get to what I want to do in my real life.
Yeah.
So those are huge things for me. And then obviously saving. We got to save, we got to invest, and then obviously try to grow the income.
Damn. All right. Well, that's what we got for you today. So appreciate you tuning in. If you want to find this, make sure you subscribe. Business Relationship Sports with CA and KJ. Check it out on YouTube specifically. And make sure to drop a comment. Make sure to drop a like. It's really helpful for other people like yourselves to find this podcast. And we will see you next time.
No doubt. Good to see you.
No doubt.